Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail, and I have a video for you from Judge Rossi in Michigan. He has got two women in his courtroom, and I need to set this up a little bit. One woman is married to this man, although they have split up and he's moved out. And he moved in with his girlfriend, and the other woman is the girlfriend. The wife has a PPO out on the girlfriend. And they are here today due to a PPO violation that the wife alleges the girlfriend committed. Now, I did a video about 6 months ago, and I'll pin it in the comments, of another PPO violation that the wife alleged against the girlfriend. So that was the first PPO violation that I saw, and then this is a second one. So I will let you guys watch.
We are here in the matter of Monique Cooley versus Jasmine Jackson, case number 23-09874PH. This hearing is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on YouTube.
And this matter comes before the court today for a hearing on an alleged violation by Ms. Jackson of the court's personal protective order. As an initial matter, counsel, will you place your appearances on the record?
Scott Vandercoat for the people, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Attorney Evan Hebert on behalf of Ms. Jackson.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hebert. And with that, Mr. Vandercoat, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd call Monique Cooley.
Very well. Ms. Cooley, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth? You're muted, Ms. Cooley.
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Vandercoat.
Thank you. Ms. Cooley, could you please state your name and spell it for the record?
My name is Monique Cooley, Montique, and my last name is Cooley.
You are the petitioner in this personal protection order matter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, well, strike that. Do you recall the events of on the evening of Friday, July 5th, 2024?
I do.
Okay. Where were you at that time?
I was at home at Baldwin, Southeast. It's in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49506.
Okay. And did you have anybody appear at your residence at approximately 8:30 p.m. that night?
Yes.
Who was that?
That was Jasmine Jackson and a friend of hers.
Do you know the friend?
I don't.
Okay. And what happened when Ms. Jackson and her friend appeared?
She pulled up in a light blue Cadillac XT5 and pulled kind of like up the street from my home because she's not supposed to be near my intersection of my home. And I was sitting on my porch.
Okay.
When she entered, it was my daughter's friend outside, and her and the gentleman pulled up in the car. I guess he wanted to serve me some papers because she was trying to terminate the personal protection order that I have against her.
Mm-hmm.
So when he pulled up to try to serve the papers, she got out the car and tried to mace me because I asked her what was she doing on my property. So she tried to mace me in front of my house.
When you say she tried to mace you, did she spray you?
Yeah, she sprayed the mace on me, just a little, got in my face, but yes.
Right. You remember what she was wearing that day?
I don't, because it happened so fast.
Sure. Okay. You sure it wasn't just her friend that was present?
No, it wasn't just her friend. It was her too.
So she got out of the vehicle when she sprayed you?
Yes.
And were you like on your front porch or in your
I was on my front porch, and I'm like, what is you doing here? Because I seen her. Like, what is you doing over here by my house?
Okay.
And that's when she got out, and she just got out and, I didn't get all the way in my eye, but it did get a little bit in my eyes.
All right. Was she on your lawn, on the sidewalk?
She was like a little bit by the street because he was trying to come serve the paper.
All right. And how close to you did he get?
He was real close to me.
Like what, 5
But
10
I didn't,
feet?
like about 5 feet, yeah.
All right. Did he hand you the papers?
No, he threw it on my porch.
All right. And where was Ms. Jackson at this time?
She was like up like a little bit up the street by him.
Well, when you say up the street, was she ever
By
on
the
your-
car. By the car. By
Okay,
the car.
and the car was in front of your house?
Yes.
It wasn't up the street?
Like up the street from my house. It's just a little bit up the street from my house, not too far.
Okay, when you say not too far, what are we talking here? Like 2 houses down?
Like 2 or 3 houses down, yeah.
And well, she was close enough to spray you though, correct?
Yes.
All right, so she walked away from the vehicle to your property?
She ran.
Okay, and did she come on your property?
She didn't come actually on my property, but she was up the street, So I came down I came down and asked her what was she doing by my property.
Okay, so you were off your property when she sprayed you?
Yes.
All right. And I'm sorry, how many houses down?
Like 2 or 3 houses down.
Okay. All right.
She didn't park very far.
Sure. All right, has she contacted you in any way since July 5th?
She was playing on my phone numerous of times about him if they get into a situation, but just playing on my phone, making threatening phone calls and stuff like that.
Okay, when you
Just
say
saying what she
playing on
gonna do to me when she see me.
when you say playing on your phone, was she texting you?
No, calling no caller ID calls on my phone.
All right. Had you blocked her phone number?
I don't have her phone number. I don't know how she got my number. I don't know if she got it out his phone and started calling my phone, but I don't have her number.
Okay.
I have no parts of that girl.
All right.
I just wish she'd leave me alone and just leave it at that. Just leave me alone.
About how many times has she contacted you on the phone since July 5th?
Probably like 4 times, just like 4 times.
Okay. And what was the most recent time?
She hasn't called in like a month or so. It's been like about a month.
All right. And how has this affected you, her contact?
Like, I just don't want no parts of her entertaining anything with me. Like, you don't need to call me. You don't need to say anything to me when you see me. Don't approach me. Don't say nothing to me because I feel unsafe around you.
Have you ever confronted her apart from this
No.
incident?
No.
Okay. I mean, did her actions place you in fear?
Yes.
Okay.
She's been doing this over a year, over 2 years. It's getting tiring.
Do you remember what she said to you that day back on July 5th?
I don't. I said to her, what
Okay.
is she doing over here by my property?
All right. And you don't remember what she said to you?
No, she didn't really say too many words. No.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Cross-examination, Mr. Hebert.
Good afternoon, Ms. Cooley. I represent Ms. Jackson. My name is Evan Hebert. I have a few questions for you, okay? Let me know if you can hear me all right.
I can hear you.
Thank you very much. So a couple of these should be pretty easy ones. Have you ever initiated contact with Ms. Jackson while you've been while the PPO has been in place?
No, I don't
Have you
contact.
ever been to her property?
No, I've never been to her home. No.
Have you ever driven by her home?
No.
Have you ever sent anyone to her home?
No.
Yeah, and I'm going to object. The PPO, Ms. Cooley is the protected party. She's not the one on trial. It's Ms. Jackson. These questions have no bearing on whether Ms. Jackson has violated the court's order.
Your Honor, if I may respond, if she's initiating contact, then that's relevant to the question that Mr. Vanderkolk asked about whether she's in fear of Ms. Jackson.
No, her subjective feeling is only relevant to Ms. Jackson's contacting Ms. Cooley, not whether Ms. Cooley initiated any contact with Ms. Jackson. Whether she did or not is not a violation of the PPO.
Well, I
if she-
certainly
if I'm-
agree that, right, that it isn't, it is Miss Jackson who's on trial, Miss Jackson who's at jeopardy of going to jail or paying a fine here. However, I do think that, I can take into consideration the totality of the circumstances and determining whether or not there's a violation. So, yeah, I will overrule the objection, allow the questions. You may proceed, Mr. Hebert.
Do you know where Ms. Jackson lives? Ms.
Yes.
Cooley?
Yes.
Have you ever been to that location?
I have been to that location. I have a family member that stays next door to Miss Jackson, but never been to Miss Jackson's property. She cannot tell you that I went to her home, to her property, while the
And
PPO order is in place. No.
no. On going back to, I'm going to take you back to July 5th of 2024, the day that you were just speaking about. Okay.
Okay.
826 Baldwin Southeast. That's where you resided at that time.
Yes.
And did you have any video cameras or other recording devices at that home?
Well, my camera is messed up at my home right now, and I'm at work, but my daughter's friend was at the house when this happened. But I didn't know she needed to be here because I am at work right now.
So there is a camera there.
It's a camera, but the camera is broke.
How long has the camera been broken for?
It's been broken for a while.
So it wasn't working on July 5th. When was the last time it was working?
It's broke. I don't know. It's been a while since it was working.
Have you
July
made
5th,
any
it was not
efforts?
working. July 5th, it was not working.
Have you made any efforts to repair it?
No.
Prior to July 5th, when did you find out that the camera was broken?
I been knew that it was broken because the type of internet that I need for that camera.
What type of camera is it?
Objection, relevance.
The relevance there,
Your Honor,
Mr. Hebert?
I mean, just to figure out how it works, I guess I could ask how it works, but it might give me a little bit of
Well, I think she's already
background.
indicated that she doesn't have any camera footage of the incident, so I don't think that background is particularly relevant to this violation. I'll sustain the objection. Why don't you move on to a different topic?
All right. So none of this interaction was recorded. Is that fair?
No, but I did contact the police.
And it wasn't recorded on a cell phone or any other type of device.
No.
The contact you had with police, did anyone come out?
No, because when I called to make the report there, I told them that I already had a personal protection order against her, and they told me I need to go down to the court if she was not still in the area or in front of my home.
Did you tell them that you'd been maced?
Yes. And they still told me to come, that if I didn't need no emergency to go to the hospital, then I needed to contact the personal protection order, which I did.
Did they advise you to seek medical treatment?
Objection, hearsay.
It would be for the effect on the listener, Your Honor, not for the truth of the matter asserted.
Then I would object on relevance. Whether she got
Response on relevance, Mr. Hebert?
If she received medical treatment, that would be relevant to know if there are records of her having mace in her eye, as she just testified.
Well, he could ask her if there are records, but still, it's irrelevant to whether Ms. Jackson was in her presence and violating the PPO.
I will overrule the objection. Obviously, whether or not she, actually had some impact from the mace and the severity of that impact could indicate the closeness and the veracity of her statements. So you may proceed, Mr. Hebert.
So just to back up a little bit, Miss Cooley, were you advised to seek medical treatment?
Yes, they did say that I can go to the emergency room if I needed to, but I did not.
And
I didn't
you
need
did
to
not.
seek medical attention. I did not.
Was there any physical or visible injury?
No.
So your eyes weren't red or anything like that?
They was a little red, just a little, because the way that she maced me, it didn't get all in my eye. It ain't like she just did it front in my face. She just maced and ran back to the car.
How far away was she when that took place?
She was not so close, but not far from me. She wasn't far. It was enough to get in my eye.
You indicated at first when you were testifying that you were on your porch when this contact took place. So I want to clarify
I
that.
was yes, when they first pulled up. That's what I said. When they first pulled up to my residence.
Okay, but they didn't pull up to your residence, right? You testified that they actually were a couple
They
doors
pulled
down.
up the street. Yes, they pulled up the street, which she's don't even supposed to be nowhere near my property.
So do you know who was driving?
She was.
Okay, who got out of the car first?
The guy, because he tried to serve the personal protection order. And I synced her and I'm like, what is you doing by my property? And that's when she
So,
jumped out the car.
so you approached the vehicle.
I'm yelling from the side, from down the street by my sidewalk, like, what is you doing by my house? She's not supposed to be at my house.
Did you approach the vehicle?
No,
You didn't take a step off your porch?
I did.
Okay, towards the vehicle?
Not towards the vehicle, on my sidewalk. I'm like, what is you doing at my house?
And
I didn't approach no vehicle. I didn't go to no vehicle or nothing.
but at that point, that when you're saying Miss Jackson got out of the car?
Yes.
Okay, so initially the other individual gets out of the car and tries to give you some papers, right?
Yes.
And then you see the vehicle and you go towards the sidewalk, and that's when you're saying you had contact with Miss
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Okay. And prior to that, she hadn't said anything to you or gotten out of the car.
She's not supposed to be near my property.
Prior to that,
I fear for my life. She's not supposed to be near me or around my house. No.
until you went out to the sidewalk, and I appreciate you just answering my questions when I asked them, if you don't mind. You had not heard anything. She had not said anything or left the car.
No.
Now, you've made some claims that Miss Jackson was playing on your phone and calling you.
Yes.
When those instances took place, did you contact police?
No.
Okay, what did you do in response to those incidents?
I went and filed my the violation for the PPO because it was already set in place. So it's nothing that they're gonna do if you call the police to say she's playing on your phone.
Did you do anything to document these calls?
I screenshotted calls on my phone with no caller ID, but
Okay. And Miss Jackson's name does not appear on any of these phone
it doesn't
calls
have
from the
to because she's
screenshots.
calling private. She's calling my phone private, so how can her name show up anyways? It won't.
So her name did not show up.
It's not gonna show up because she's calling private. She's calling no caller ID.
And it's all phone calls. There's no text messages that you
No,
have
no,
received.
no.
And you said you actually don't even know Miss Jackson's phone number. That's not something
I
you're
don't.
aware of.
No, I don't.
You've never called Miss Jackson on her cell
I've
phone.
never called her. No.
So when these circumstances took place, did you see the other individual, what he was doing while you allege Miss
No.
Jackson was using
No.
Mace?
No.
Would he have been in a position to observe what took place?
I don't know because he threw the PPO order on the porch. So he was running to go throw the PPO. You're supposed to serve the personal protection order to me, not throw it on my porch.
Was there anyone else that he spoke to at your house?
No.
You didn't, was there anyone else present with you on the porch?
Yes, it was, but he didn't speak with them. He don't know them. Why would he speak with them?
Was it a family member?
It was my daughter's friend that was there.
Okay, but you're saying that this other individual didn't talk to her or try to serve her with any papers or ask her any questions?
No.
Did you eventually look at the papers?
I eventually looked at the papers, yes.
Do you have them still?
No, there's no need for me to have them.
Do you know what they were?
Objection, Your Honor. What is the relevance?
I mean, there's a big
Response on
difference.
relevance, Mr. Hebert.
Thank you, Your Honor. There's a big difference between having someone served and initiating contact. I mean, from the sounds of it, what it sounds like happened is that Ms. Jackson allegedly drove a car, parked it a couple houses away so that someone else could serve Miss Cooley with her motion to
She's not
terminate the
supposed to be
PPO.
near my home.
Please be quiet, Miss Cooley. I'm speaking. At this point in time, Miss Cooley exited her house, walked towards the vehicle, and at that point there was contact. It's a question of Miss Jackson's intent, right? Why are these documents being served? There's legitimate purpose for it. So
Your Honor,
I would say the
intent
question
has-
is relevant.
No, the intent has absolutely nothing to do with whether Ms. Jackson was present and violating the PPO, and the content of the papers is certainly not germane to whether Ms. Jackson was present.
I think it's no different than if she was using a process server, especially when the testimony from Miss Cooley is that the car was parked a couple houses down.
Well, I think had she wisely used a process server, that wouldn't have resulted in a confrontation and the use of Mace. That probably would have been a much smoother operation. So I agree that the content of those papers is unimportant. On top of it, she wasn't attempting to serve the process; someone else was, and she chose to get out of the car. I'm not buying that the papers had a hill of beans to do with it. So I'll sustain the objection, ask you to move on to another line of questions.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, I saw that you had raised your hand. If at some point you need to speak with me directly, we'll do that once we're done with cross-examination. Is that okay?
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's somebody sitting next to Ms. Jackson. I don't know if that's the witness or not, but
It is.
Okay, at this late time, I just noticed this. I moved to sequester witnesses, and so this individual cannot see or hear anything that's being asked or said.
All right. And that means that if the person sitting next to you, Ms. Jackson, is a potential witness at this hearing, that is, they might have to be sworn in and testify. They need to be separate from you when you're testifying so that, they can't just copy what you said or things of that nature. It's normally granted in a hearing like this. So if you'd have that witness move to a different location where they can't hear what you're saying, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And that individual looks like they've walked away. Can we identify who that was?
His name is Nazir Pettis.
How do you spell that?
N as in Nancy, A as in Ann, S as in Sam, I as in Emmanuel, R as in Rachel. Last name Pettis, P as in Paul, E as in elephant, T as in Tom, T as in Tom, I as in Emmanuel, S as in Sam. Pettis.
Thank you.
Very good. You may proceed, Mr. Hebert.
Miss Cooley, that name that was just provided, Mr. Pettis, Nazir Pettis, do you know who that is?
I don't.
Okay. And we didn't have him on camera, so you didn't see what he looked like during this hearing.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, we'll I think come back to that. But that concludes the questioning that I have for you at this time. Thank you.
Very good. Any follow-ups, Mr. Vanderkolk?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. Thank you, Ms. Cooley. You may step down from the witness stand. Any additional witnesses or evidence, Mr. Vanderkolk?
People rest, Your Honor.
Very good. Mr. Hebert, any witnesses or evidence to present?
Your Honor, we had discussed adjourning this. I do have some additional witnesses and testimony to present. I had wanted to subpoena Mr. Pettis, but now it does appear that he's here. And so if the court's willing to adjourn this with the understanding that the PPO will remain in place until we can complete this matter, I'd be happy with that. Or I can see if Mr. Pettis can return and I can examine him, and Mr. Vanderkolk can cross-examine him.
Yeah, I guess because
wants
this
to
has
do.
been delayed already and it appears that Mr. Pettis is nearby, why don't we see if he's available? And would he be your first witness, or you want to have Miss Jackson first?
I think that we could start with Miss Jackson, and then Mr. Pettis, if the court has time to do it today. I know it's 5 o'clock or nearly 5 o'clock.
No, it's only 4:05. We've got plenty of time.
4:05. All right.
Hebert.
Thank you.
So yeah, if we could have Mr. Pettis step out of earshot again, they'll remain available as a potential witness. I'll swear you in, Miss Jackson, and we'll take your testimony. If you'd please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Mr. Pettis, if you'd moved out of earshot for the moment, because we may have you as the next witness, but you can't listen to Miss Jackson when she's testifying, because I'm going to have you sequestered as if she was testifying in the courtroom and you were waiting out in the hallway. So you have to be in a different space than she is where you can't hear her. Can you do that?
Yes.
I'll leave.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think, oh, is Miss Jackson walking away?
Yes.
All
Oh,
right. Can you just swear in Mr. Pettis? That's fine. We'll do him first.
All right, Mr. Pettis, we can take your testimony first. If you'd raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Very good. You may proceed, Mr. Hebert.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pettis. Thank you for being here. And I have a few questions for you. Let me know if you can't hear me. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you. And if you could do me a favor, and when you're answering questions, please offer a verbal response rather than nodding your head or something of that nature. Is that all right?
Okay.
Yes or no? Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yes.
How do you know Jasmine Jackson, if you do?
She was a neighbor of mine. I used to live over there in the same a townhome area off Coach Lane.
And are you related to her at all?
She's like a best friend to me. I've been knowing her since I moved there, and I've been living there for 4 years now, but I recently just moved.
So let me ask you this. Did you have any involvement in the matter between Miss Cooley and Miss Jackson?
Pardon me, it was skipping.
Yeah, it looks like your internet's not doing super well because your red bar is on the bottom of my screen, but we'll power through and see if we can get the questions in, okay?
Okay.
Are you familiar with Miss Cooley at all?
I have known her to be over there where Jasmine Jackson was living on Coach Lane. Yes, I have seen her before. Yes.
So you observed her at that location, at her address where Miss Jackson was living?
Yes.
And do you know about when that was?
I want to say around like last year of like October-ish, I want to say.
And
recently, I want to say it was about like in the beginning of summer, like May-ish.
And the incident in the beginning of the summer, can you describe what you saw for me, please?
Yes. Miss Cooley had and Durango outside, stuff like that, and being very verbal to her as Jasmine
Your
was
Honor,
in her
I could
home.
not hear
her
the
business.
witness's testimony. It was broken up. Could we have him repeat that, please?
Yep. Could you try that again? You know what, and Mr. Jackson, if it's agreeable to counsel, we could also have you turn off the video. Sometimes the audio comes a little more clearly if you just turn off the video. Mr. Vanderkolk, do you object to that?
No, Your Honor.
That's fine.
Why don't you turn off the video and we'll see if we can get your statement a little more clearly.
Okay. Do I push the stop video button?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right. Try again, Mr. Hebert.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Mr. Pettis. Yeah, so the question, Mr. Pettis, was what was the nature of the contact that Miss Cooley had at that residence in the early part of the summer?
Yes, Miss Cooley was being pulled up in a dark blue Durango and being very verbal to Jazz and saying that her family member was living next door to her, which is also not true because I know
I
the
want to
people that
object.
live.
Excuse me, I want to object. Is it or inquire? Is this the July 5th incident that we're talking about?
No.
Okay,
No.
I would object to this whole line of questioning and the testimony. This has nothing to do with the alleged violation of July 5th, which is the sole reason that we're here.
Your Honor,
Response, Mr. Hebert.
thank you, Your Honor. I think we already went through this line of questioning. It's relevant to the circumstances. I think it's corroborative evidence of Miss Cooley's, approaching of Miss Jackson on the incident in question. It would be circumstantial evidence of that. In addition, I just think it's relevant for the court to consider, even if it was to be at sentencing. We would like to have the whole picture.
Your Honor, stating that we want the whole picture or that it's corroborative does not make it relevant. Whatever happened prior to July 5th has no bearing on whether Ms. Jackson approached Ms. Cooley within her site, which is clearly prohibited by the court's order. So this is just a fishing expedition to draw things out and paint Ms. Cooley in an unfavorable light and is not relevant to what occurred on July 5th, which is the only allegation pled.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, Mr. Herbert. I'm going to sustain the objection unless you have information that's related to the alleged incident on July 5th.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Pettis, were you, did you have any contact with Miss Cooley on July 5th of this year?
No, Miss Cooley wasn't even home when I served the paper. Jasmine Jackson was nowhere near around. I picked up the papers from Jasmine Jackson's home, and the address is on the paper where Miss Cooley lives, which is 826 Baldwin. And I went over there myself and I served the paper to her daughter, which is Nevaeh, which was home. And I did see a camera on her property. I don't know if it works or not because I'm not in the home, but I did see a camera. And if Miss Jackson was there and supposedly supposed to mace her, I would feel like that would be a big part of evidence to if Miss Jackson did what she did or not. And
All right,
somebody's
Mr.
camera
Pettis.
over there.
Thank you, Mr. Pettis. I'm going to break this down a little bit further for you with some clarifying questions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So on or about July 5th of 2024, did Miss Jackson ask you to bring some paperwork for Miss Cooley?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the reason for that?
To serve her a paper to reverse the protection order against Jasmine Jackson.
And what did you do on that date?
I went over to Jasmine's house and I signed the paper of me saying that I would like to, what do you call it? That I consent to doing to giving it to Miss Cooley.
Was there something like an affidavit of process server that you reviewed? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
And okay, so you went to the location of 826 Baldwin Southeast with this paperwork.
Yes, a green home. Yes.
And what happened when you got there?
I was actually supposed to record the incident just because of this situation here, but I didn't want to record, anybody. So when I knocked on the door, I heard somebody and they came to the door, which was her daughter Nevaeh, and I actually happened to know her daughter Nevaeh because we went to school at Alger together, and as when I just told her simply like, Nevaeh, just give your mom these papers, and I told her to have a good day, and I walked off the porch and I walked east of the street and my car was parked around the corner because I didn't want Miss Cooley, if she was home, to see what my car potentially looks like. And I actually seen the navy blue Durango outside of her home, the same Durango that was at Jasmine Jackson's house when she decided to pull up and cause rage.
So what kind of car were you driving?
I was driving a 2017 Chevy Malibu, black.
And you said that Miss Jackson was not with you at that time.
No, she was not with me at all.
And did you have any mace?
No, I didn't have any type of mace.
Okay. And did you have any contact with Miss Cooley?
No, not at all.
And what ended up happening to the papers?
I ended up giving them to her daughter.
And did you have any conversation with her or anything? You don't have to tell me what she said, but did you speak with her?
No, not at all. I literally just simply said, Nevaeh, give these papers to your mom. She said, okay. And I said, thank you. And I said, have a good day. And she said, you have a good day also. And she closed the door and I walked off the porch and I walked down the street eastbound and walked around the corner and got in my car.
You lying.
I'm sorry. Was there something else? Was that Miss Cooley talking? I didn't hear that. Sorry. Okay, so at that point, there was no confrontation or anything of note. This went relatively, would you say, peacefully?
Yeah, it went very peacefully, yes. Because if it wouldn't have, I would have called the police because I was by myself.
And what did you do after you were done with the activities you just described?
I literally called Jasmine and I told her that it was delivered and it went approachably right. And the right way. No, nobody got hurt. Nobody had any confrontation or nothing. And I actually told her Miss Cooley was not home, and I gave it to her daughter, and if that was okay, and that was it.
And so you said you called her on her phone using your phone?
I called Jasmine Jackson off my phone and told her I gave the papers to her daughter and basically made sure that that was okay. And I told her that everything went smoothly. Nobody got hurt. Nobody wasn't verbal or nothing like that because her daughter knew me. And I'm a well-known person around this
No,
city.
I'm going to object at this point. It's non-responsive and it's not relevant to what occurred. Any actions
right.
that Mr. Pettis may or may not have taken after he allegedly served these papers.
Your Honor, that's fine. I don't have an answer to that objection. I'll just redirect Mr. Pettis to relevant areas. Your Honor, you're muted.
Objection is sustained. You may redirect.
So we were talking about a phone call you made to Miss Jackson confirming that the papers had been provided to Miss Cooley's daughter. Do you know about when that phone call took place?
Yes, it took about I want to say 8:30ish, because it took me a minute to get to her house anyway, because like I said, we live in Kentwood.
Your Honor,
So
once again, this isn't relevant to what happened. Whether a phone call was made or not, what time it was made, who it was made to, it has nothing to do with whether Ms. Jackson violated the court's order.
Response, Mr. Hebert.
I disagree on that count, Your Honor. Obviously, if they're not together and he's calling her, then that would be circumstantial evidence that she was not present at that location. So my next question
That's
to him,
been established, Your Honor, and it's repetitive at this point.
well, I think it's a credibility issue, right? I mean, if he's got a phone call that he made to Miss Jackson around that time, then we can establish a timeline that they were not together at that period of time when he made the phone call, and that she therefore was not in his car.
That's been established, and it's unduly repetitive at this point.
I agree that there is potential relevance if he's going to say that she wasn't with him and that instead he called her to confirm. I'll overrule the objection. You may continue, Mr. Hebert.
Just briefly, Mr. Pettis, and we appreciate everyone's time. That phone call that you made, around what time was the phone call?
I would say around 8:30ish, 8:40ish.
In the morning or in the evening?
In the evening, right after I got done serving the paper.
Okay. And do you still have your cell phone that you used to use back then?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that you could look into your phone records, and if you did, you'd be able to find a record of that call?
No, not at all, because I make a lot of calls and stuff like that, so I could probably look, but Jasmine probably can, yes.
All right. Well, maybe we'll follow up on that. I appreciate that. So at any point in that day, did you observe Miss Jackson having any contact with Miss Cooley?
No, not at all.
Did you observe Miss Jackson use Mace on Miss Cooley?
No, not at all. And Mace is a spray. So if she was there allegedly, which she wasn't, because I was there serving the paper, the wind would have blew Mace
Your
in
Honor,
my face.
I'm gonna object. He's not an expert in Mace, and Mace comes in all different forms. He can't testify as to what may or may not have happened regarding this. This is beyond the scope of his observation.
Mr. Pettis, just try to answer the questions. I appreciate your testimony today. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Your Honor. There's a slight delay.
No, I tend to agree with Mr. Vanderkolk on this one, and we'll ask you to redirect Mr. Ebert.
Have you, Mr. Pettis, ever observed Miss Jackson call Miss Cooley on the phone?
No, not at all.
Have you ever observed Miss Jackson have contact with Miss Cooley at all?
No, not at all. But when she came to her home, those are the only times when I have seen contact. Yes, it's when Miss Cooley has came to Jasmine Jackson's home at Coach Lane. Yes, that's the only time. But otherwise, no.
Have you known Miss Jackson to do things like when I was a kid, we called it star 69, where you call and hide your name. Do you know, does Miss Jackson do that?
No, not at all.
All right, thank you. I don't have any further questions at this time for this witness.
Any cross-examination for Mr. Pettis, Mr. Vanderkolk?
Yes, Mr. Pettis, how often are you in Ms. Jackson's presence?
Not a lot as of right now because I'm actually going through life crises in my own situation. So I'm not around Miss Jackson right now, presently as much. But yes, I was around Miss Jackson a lot previously before this. Yes, I was.
Up until what time? What date?
I want to say around like July, around my birthday, is when I stopped, really being around. And
Nobody
I
knows,
moved out, and I
nobody
moved
knows
out of
when
my
your birthday
father's
is,
house.
Mr. Pettis.
Excuse me?
Nobody knows when your birthday is.
I'm saying I moved out and Jasmine moved too. So we no longer live there anyway. So we're not neighbors anymore.
When did you move out?
I moved out around June. I want to say around like June-ish.
June-ish.
Yeah.
And even before then, you were not with her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, correct?
No, I wasn't with her. No.
All right. So you have absolutely no idea whether Ms. Jackson was calling Ms. Cooley when you weren't present, do you?
No, but I know for a fact
No.
that's not
Just
true.
answer the question. Just answer the question.
No.
You won't answer the question?
I'm saying no. I was not around if
Right.
Jasmine was
You can't
calling
say
her allegedly.
you have absolutely no idea whether Ms. Jackson was actually contacting Ms. Cooley outside of your presence, correct?
Yeah, I don't know. No.
Right. Okay. Before you moved out in June-ish, how long have you known, do you say you've known Ms. Jackson?
For about 4 years, ever since I moved there.
4 years. Okay. And so why were you with her a lot?
Because she was my neighbor and we became friends just off of, what life situations that happened to us. And my little brothers and her son were very close to each other. And my mother knew her too. So, and my dad. So we were all close to each other.
Is she helping you out in your life crisis right now?
Yeah.
How is she helping you?
Helping me get to job interviews, helping me go to Michigan Works, things like that, helping me apply for places and stuff like that.
Okay. Is she driving you around?
Yeah.
Okay. Is she giving you financial assistance?
Yeah.
Your Honor, at this point, I'm
has.
going to object. We're getting pretty far afield here. I mean, I understand that the point that Mr. Vanderkolk's trying to make, but I don't know that we need to get into his finances. That seems a bit too far.
I'm not
Well,
asking
he's
you-
not going to dig any deeper than any help he receives from Miss Jackson. So it does certainly go to any potential bias. I'll overrule the objection. You may continue.
Thank you.
Mr.
I'm certainly not going to get into his finances. I'm just asking about assistance. Does she ever let you stay at her place if you need?
No, not at all.
No. Okay. Do you have a driver's license?
Do I have a driver's license?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Does she let you drive her vehicle?
No.
No. Okay. But she drives you to Michigan Works and other places?
Yes.
Okay. How else does she help you?
She helps me with my with school and stuff like that because I'm in school to actually be a dental assistant. Even though she doesn't really know, things about it for real, she actually helps me and, like writing essays and stuff, like wording it the right way and sounding professionally.
Okay. And when was the last time she helped you with anything?
Yesterday, actually.
Okay. And she's been helping you in this way for how long?
For about three years now.
3 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So you didn't even need a subpoena to be present today and testify on her behalf, did you?
No, not at all. I'm a great friend to her. Yes.
I see
She's
that.
like an older sister to me.
Right. Okay. And you said your younger brother or brothers are friends with her younger brothers? Is that what you
With
said?
her younger child, yes. My
Younger
brothers
child.
are friends with her younger child, yes.
Okay. And your mom is friends with
Jasmine also, yes.
Okay, all right. So a lot of connections there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Can I follow up on that, Your Honor?
You may, Mr. Hebert.
Mr. Pettis, you understand you're under oath today.
Yes.
Do you take that seriously?
Yes.
You know, whether or not Miss Jackson is a good friend of yours or helps you out, I mean, is that enough that it would make you perjure yourself?
No, not at all. I am 21 years old. I have a lot going for myself right now, and I would not put myself in jeopardy for nobody, not even my own family. This is honestly, literally what happened between me and Mrs. Cooley's daughter. And I honestly, to be honest, I didn't even really want to be here today because it's a lot of stress on me and I'm already going through stuff. And I just don't like in the Bible, it says you will reap
Your
what
Honor,
you
I'm going to
will
object
sow.
to relevance.
Yeah,
Right.
let's unfortunately we are running also short on time this afternoon, so we'll skip the biblical quote for now. But I think you've got the testimony you need, Mr. Ebert, unless you've got any additional follow-ups.
No, Your Honor. I mean, I think the only other question I have is, Mr. Pettis, did Miss Jackson ask you to lie for her?
No,
Miss Cooley, I'd ask if you don't speak while the witness is speaking. Can you repeat that,
no,
Mr.
not at
Pettis?
all.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Pettis, I do have a question. This is Judge Rossi. Did you ever, besides serving that one legal paper, the objection, did you ever drop off other legal papers from Miss Cooley, or I'm sorry, from Miss Jackson to Miss Cooley?
No, nope.
Okay, just that one instance?
Just that one instant, yes.
All right. Any follow-ups, Mr. Vanderkolk?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then you may step down from the witness stand at this time, Mr. Pettis, and you may call your next witness, Mr. Hebert.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Mr. Pettis. If you could get Miss Jackson back.
Okay.
All right, Miss Jackson, you've returned. I swore you in earlier. Mr. Hebert has some questions for you at this time.
Your Honor, I had one follow-up question for Miss Cooley. I just want to see if she can identify that individual as being the same individual she talked about, which was Mr. Pettis. Do you mind if I ask that question first before we get into Miss Jackson? I would like to recall Miss Cooley.
Any objection to that since we just did hear from Mr. Pettis? Mr. Vanderkolk?
No objection.
You may, Ms. Cooley, let me swear you in first. No, I already swore you in because we took your testimony. You may inquire, Mr. Hebert.
Thank you. Miss Cooley, I had one question. Is that person, Mr. Pettis, someone that you recognize?
I can't really tell if that's him. I seen him in court before, so I can't just honestly say that's him. I don't know. I don't know.
But you spoke about an individual who you
It
said
was an
was with Miss.
individual, a dark individual, but I cannot recall the face.
Okay. I mean, you said you were pretty close to this person, weren't you?
Who? Him? I didn't really look at him. I seen him in court before. I can't just tell you that was just him.
I meant on July 5th. Were you close enough to these folks to see who the gentleman was?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. She said she couldn't see who it was. She cannot identify him. This has been asked and answered. I'd ask counsel to move on.
All right. Well, I did hear the question relating to July 5th, and the previous answer was in court one time. I'll overrule the objection, allow the question. You may proceed, Mr. Hebert.
Miss Cooley, do you remember the question? Can you provide an answer for us?
I just told you I don't know him. No.
Okay. So you can't say whether that was the individual on
It could have been
July 5th.
somebody else. It could have been someone else.
That's all I've got for her, and I'd ask to call Miss Jackson now.
Very good. Any follow-ups for Miss Cooley, Mr. Vanderkolk?
Let's see, Ms. Cooley, who was it that was with you at your house that day that you said witnessed this?
Yes, it was my daughter's friend that was there.
What's his name?
It's a girl.
Well, what's her name?
Her name's Jashia.
How do you spell that?
Jashia.
Okay. Last name?
Brown.
All right. About how old is she?
She's about 19.
19. Okay. All right. And was your daughter present there that day?
No.
Nevaeh wasn't. All right.
No.
Is Nevaeh's last name Cooley as well?
Yes.
How old is she?
She is 18.
Does she live with you?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. I have no other questions.
Okay.
Okay, all right, very good. Yeah, you may proceed, Mr. Hebert, with Miss Jackson at this time.
Good afternoon, Miss Jackson. Did we swear her in, Your Honor?
I did previously swear her in, yes.
Okay. So, Miss Jackson, you understand that you're answering questions here, and that you're under oath. Yes? Okay.
Yes,
If you can't hear anything that I say, if I start breaking up, can you let me know and I'll repeat the question for you?
I will. Yes.
And if you are answering questions, can you please provide a verbal response? Does that sound good?
I'm sorry.
Can you provide verbal responses to my questions rather than shaking your head, yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry. I kind of have a habit of doing both. Yes.
Thank you. That sounds good. And we were having trouble when Mr. Pettis was speaking of seeing and hearing him at the same time. So if we start breaking up and you can't hear me or I can't hear you, I may ask you to turn your camera off. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right. Right now I can hear you just fine. So we'll proceed. Miss Jackson, what is the nature of your relationship with Miss Cooley?
I don't have a definition. Pretty much, it's just been a very overwhelming situation that has gone on for some time now, I should say.
And how did you come into contact her in the first place?
Um, we came in contact because of the relationship that me and Mr. Cooley have.
Okay. And is that in the nature of a romantic relationship?
Yes, we are in a relationship.
And you said Mr. Cooley, is that someone that she was dating or her husband?
Mr. Cooley is supposed to be her ex-husband if she would sign the papers.
So, and so that's how you know Miss Cooley is because of this relationship that you have with Mr. Cooley.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to take you back to July 5th of 2024. Do you remember that date?
Yes.
And with respect to Miss Cooley, was there anything notable that took place on that date that you recall?
I'm sorry, to her knowledge or to mine?
Well, I would like to ask you, I don't want you to say what's her knowledge, right? I'm asking you about your knowledge, but I could probably do better with my questioning. Let me ask you a better question. On that date, was there, were you attempting to prepare papers to submit to court?
I already had the papers prepared before they were served on that date, Friday, July 5th. This was done online. I received a call from the PPO office sometime, I believe I did it on a Friday, the week before the 5th. I filed online, and then I got a call that following Monday from the office just informing me to come down, pick up my paperwork, and then it just, had instructions on what needed to be done in order for the court date to be active. So I followed those instructions, and I had no contact delivering that whatsoever. And I just feel like, if these accusations are true, someone in the neighborhood, should be able to verify, that I was there somewhere in the area close by. No one on the street can verify my vehicle or, me being present. These are just things that they don't make sense to me.
Oh, so this paperwork, did you ask someone to take it over to serve Miss Cooley?
I did. I asked Nazir Pettis if he could deliver the papers for me. I chose him because pretty much I am aware how Miss Cooley is a very confrontational woman. So the selective people that I have in my life, I choose to be very precautious. I don't want to involve anyone who could potentially, have problems with this woman because of what they're doing on my behalf. So I just, I asked my neighbors.
And is Mr. Pettis a friend of yours?
He's a friend of mine, but he was originally a neighbor. And we grew a relationship.
So I apologize. I didn't catch all that. Judge, were you able to hear what she just stated?
I just got through a relationship, so yes.
I said that he was just originally a neighbor, And then we grew into having a friendship.
Thank you. I sometimes with Zoom, it's hard to catch every single thing. I appreciate you repeating that for me.
No worries.
So is Mr. Pettis someone that you could rely on to do this type of thing?
Not necessarily, it was kind of uncomfortable for me to ask him because this is just something that's kind of personal and, a lot of people don't want to get involved, but just pretty much him just being a eyewitness over time of the things that have occurred at my home and my residence because of Miss Cooley, he just kind of just felt as if he would, support me because he knew that, I had been literally not bothering this woman.
So on July 5th of 2024, did you go with him to Baldwin Street?
I did not. I instructed him where to go.
And so you were not in a car with him when he had the paperwork?
I was not.
Did you observe Miss Cooley on that date?
I did not see her at all. I just stayed in contact on the phone with him, which I have records to indicate, if I have to go back and just show the conversations that we had or the time of the calls, pretty much I gave him instructions like, hey, I want you to record this and you have to walk far a little. I don't want you to park too close up. I told him to make sure he records it and to make sure that, that it's served and what vehicle to look for. I specifically told him to look for a black Cadillac truck. So as he pretty much was walking down the street to, approach the house, he called and informed me that that vehicle was not there, but he said that another vehicle that I recognize and that he recognized because of, the ongoing occurrences at our residence, he said that vehicle was, at that residence. So I said, just go ahead and try to serve the papers. It might be better that she's not home so there's no confrontation. So he proceeded to do so. And then, after he did it, he gave me a call and let me know, exactly what happened, which was, he delivered it to her daughter, which I felt worked a little bit better because I just, still took a chance not knowing how things would play out with her, getting the paper served from him.
You mentioned another car that you and Mr. Pettis both recognized. Do you remember any more details about that car?
It was a black Durango. I know that it's like her second vehicle or so. I know that they're both registered to her. I've seen both of them on my property, my premises. So yeah, it's a navy blue Durango.
All right. So did you use Mace on Miss Cooley on this date?
I don't have any Mace. I was not on her premises or in the area of her home. This is impossible for me to be able to do something this way. And I just, these accusations are just very so intimidating. I really hope that the courts can really understand what's happening here because I just feel like if something this serious occurred, that this will be documented some type of way. You know what I mean? You would be really trying to get evidence as far as these things that you're claiming that I've done because they're very serious matters. There would still be a police report because they would never tell you to just take it up with the PPO. She was on my premises while she had her PPO and I still documented it. I have a police report to verify.
I'm going to object to the relevance and it's non-responsive to the question.
I think I'll direct the witness to move on to a different area, Your Honor.
The objection sustained. You may redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so, Miss Jackson, have you been otherwise contacting Miss Cooley?
I have no reason to contact Miss Cooley. I have not. I'm happy with my relationship in my life. I just want to be at peace. I've actually relocated my home just so I cannot have to deal with so much of these things that have been occurring. I have no issue with this woman. It is this woman who has an issue with me. She's interrogating my life. And I just wish that we could really just, pay close attention to the things that she's saying because it's just really not making sense. I have no reason to harass her. I have my boyfriend. That's who I want. What do I have to harass her for?
You haven't called her on your cell phone?
I have no need to. There's nothing I need to contact this woman about. There's no reason for me to contact her. Like, there's no absolute valid reason why I would reach out to her. I'm fully aware of the PPO that she has, and I'm very aware that she's a very unpredictable woman. I would never in my life play with a situation like this. This is very serious. This is a very serious matter to me, and I have every paper.
Once again, Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is a rambling narrative that's not responsive to the question.
Yeah, I'll direct you, Ms. Jackson, if you would just simply answer the question in a few words if possible. We are also growing close to our 5 o'clock close time here. Mr. Ebert, you may ask your next question.
Are you afraid of Miss Cooley?
I am afraid that she's unpredictable. I don't know what she's capable of, so I would say yes.
Is that what led you to change your residence?
It is. I was being harassed. I was being vandalized. I was just having so many things occur that it was unsafe for me and my child to be there. So I had to relocate after 5 years of being at my home. Yes.
All right. I don't have anything further for you at this time, Miss Jackson. Thank you very much. I think Mr. Vanderkolk may have some questions for you.
You may
Okay.
go ahead, Mr. Vanderkolk.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, do you have your own vehicle?
I do.
Okay, what is that?
I have a Buick LaCrosse, a CXS.
Okay. How long have you had that?
I've had that vehicle since November of 2020.
All right. We've heard Mr. Pettis testify that you've known each other for 4 years and that you help him out financially. Is that true?
I wouldn't necessarily say financially. He's just a little bit younger, and I can help him out whenever I can, as far as gas money, or as far as a meal he needs, just those type of things where someone is just supporting him.
Well, he said you supported him financially. Is it true or is it not?
I mean, I consider that financially if I'm, supporting a meal and I'm giving him gas money. I guess you would consider that financially.
Yeah, cash. All right. Do you help him study?
If he has any questions, he can give me a call anytime. If I can help, I always will.
Oh, has he done so? Has he asked you to help him study?
He's called me a few times. Maybe I've been busy or so. It's kind of been last minute. I usually tell him, if you need help with, something that's serious or like important, let me know ahead of time so I can arrange my schedule to make sure I take some time out to help you.
Judge, we lost petitioner.
Nope. Okay, let's give her a chance to get back in. Thank you, please.
She just popped back in.
Yep. No, I think we have, it looks like we have Ms. Cooley back. So you can proceed with your questions, Mr. Hebert.
No, I was cross.
Oh, that was cross-examination?
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, Mr. Vanderkolk.
Okay. Ms. Jackson, you said that if he asked, you would or you will tell him to, just give you a call to help. But my question is, have you helped him study consistently as he's testified to?
I've helped him, yes.
How have you helped him?
Just with whatever questions he has. If he calls me and he needs some help with something, then I'll give him my best advice.
Okay. And where have you driven him?
I've helped him jobs and just like applying for places to live. He's been going through a situation where, well, I guess that's pretty irrelevant, but I've been helping him just with those things mainly.
How often have you helped him with those things?
I mean, a handful of times. I'm not necessarily counting, but he pretty much is independent, so he doesn't need me to do everything for him. But if he needs my help and I'm available.
Okay. And you're helping him through his current life crisis?
I don't necessarily know what you mean as far as that. I mean, I give emotional support as any friend would. And that's pretty much what I give the most. Like I said, if I can provide him with some gas money if he's low on funds, or if I can provide him with a meal to get him through the day, I'll absolutely do that. That is what I consider helping.
Sure. So fair to say he leans on you?
I guess you can say that I'm someone he looks up to.
Okay. But he can rely on you to help him when he's in a pinch?
Periodically, depending on the situation, I'm no millionaire here, so it just depends on the situation.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions.
May redirect Mr. Hebert.
Miss Jackson, did you ask Mr. Pettis to lie for you today?
I did not.
Can you understand that you're testifying under penalty of perjury? Yes?
Absolutely, yes.
Is that serious to you?
Very serious.
Is everything you told us today the truth?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, nothing further.
Very good. And thank you, Ms. Jackson. Then you may step down from the witness stand. Any additional witnesses or evidence to present at this time, Mr. Hebert?
Your Honor, we had a discussion. I just want to make sure because some of this occurred while Miss Jackson was not watching. I had asked to present some evidence about other times that Miss Cooley has attempted to contact Miss Jackson. I have videos and things about that, but my understanding is that the court is not hearing that today because those matters are not relevant to what happened on July 5th, and that was your ruling. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I'm not going to get into all of that contact that Miss Cooley has had with Miss Jackson, with the understanding that I tried to go there and the court didn't want me to.
Correct.
Okay.
So you don't have any others?
No, with that, I don't have anything further as far as witnesses to present today, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. I'll give you each both a couple-minute closing statement. Mr. Vanderkolk, you may lead off.
Well, Your Honor, we just heard that Josiah Brown and Avea Cooley were present. We've got conflicting testimony, so I'd ask that the court indulge the people, give us a chance to subpoena them so we can get the whole story and not just the story of Ms. Jackson and the surprise witness, this Nasir Pettis. So I'd ask for
Okay. Well, we
continuation.
certainly do have conflicting testimony, and that is coupled with the fact that there's uncertainty on behalf of the petitioner here, Ms. Cooley, whether or not that was actually the individual that she saw that day or not, throwing the situation into quite a bit of uncertainty. So I will grant continuation of today's hearing. We will reconvene at another date. I would guess I'll probably allocate an hour for it via Zoom. It'll have to be over a week at this point, so that you can subpoena additional witnesses.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would just ask that if there are new witnesses, that we are able to rebut that with additional evidence if necessary. So I may have some other things to present, and so we're not resting at this time either.
Understood. No, that both sides will have the ability to cross-examine and rebut if necessary. Lisa, can we give a date and time for the hearing now, or are we going to have to notice it out?
Yeah, Tuesday, November 7 at 11 on Zoom.
Tuesday, what? November 7th?
November 7.
11 a.m.
Yes.
And thank you all for your presence via Zoom this afternoon and your patience with the process. With that, we are adjourned for the day.
Now, in my opinion, Miss Jackson, the girlfriend, seems a bit more credible here. And the person that she brought in to be her witness, he also seemed more credible than what the wife was alleging. So we'll see in part 2, and I've got that on my calendar, so I'll be looking for that. But it just seems to me that the wife just can't get over the fact that he has a girlfriend, and she wants to just mess with their relationship. Actually, not so much with their relationship, just mess with the girlfriend over and over and over. That's my opinion. She probably got those papers in which the girlfriend wanted to remove the PPO, and the wife said, "Oh, no, you don't. I'm gonna put in a violation on you." Now, I don't really know what happened, but that's just what I think. Because Miss Jackson, the girlfriend, to me just seems much more credible. So I will look for part 2 the next time it comes around. Hopefully I'll grab it. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.